Hello 3A. Right, so for this week's home learning, I am going to read you a bit more of the book that we started on Monday on Tuesday, which is Mouse, Bird, Snake, Wolf, written by David Almond and illustrated by Dave McKean. Just have a look through these rather beautiful sort of opening illustrations by Dave McKean. I wonder if you noticed something about the way that they've made the words out of these kind of empty spaces. Anyway, let's make a start. Long ago and far away, in a world rather like this one, and one with people in it rather like us, there were 3 children, Harry, Sue, and Ben. Ben was known as Little Ben because he was so small. Like many worlds, the world they lived in was a marvellous place, filled with marvellous things. It was safe and calm and rather wonderful. But it was a strange old place as well. There were gaps and holes in it. There were places where there seemed to be nothing at all, places that were filled with emptiness. Some of these were as huge as deserts. Some were no bigger than a fingernail. The trouble was, the gods who had made the world had become rather fat and rather too pleased with themselves. Oh yes, they had worked great wonders in days gone by. They had made mighty mountains, tender flowers, rivers, forests, seas. They'd made astounding animals, the elephant, the camel, the whale. And man and woman, of course, and babies and children, and beasts that we in our world have no names for. But now they spent day after day lying on their clouds, sipping tea together and nibbling sandwiches and cakes. They chatted about their creations and gazed down at them with deepest fondness. "Your elephant, sir, is a thing of wonder," one would say to another. "Ah, yes indeed, but what about your chain of mountains and your sparkling ponds and streams? But each time I see your wisteria, my eyes filled with tears, such restraint, such delicacy, and oh, those sweet daisies." "But your humpback whale, such magnificent, and your extraordinary zowet, your gazelle, oh, but your brant." And they would shrug and blush and lower their eyes. They'd be silent for a time, and then they'd whisper, "Could any other gods come up with anything more astonishing?" And in their smiles they'd answer, "No, there are no other worlds like this one. There are no other gods like us. We are indeed the best of all gods in the best of all worlds." And so they lay on their clouds and floated through the sky and took tea and slept and snored. And yes, they did tell one another what they would make once they got back to work, if only they had the energy and if they only had the time. But in truth, their world was still unfinished and still had many gaps and spaces in it, and there was still much making to be done.